How you doing? Welcome to my YouTube Studio Tour 2023, but more importantly, how to make your YouTube space, no matter how small it is, productive and most importantly, enjoyable. And here's some of the tips that I've done in this space to make all of those things kind of happen for me, and they can absolutely happen for you too. This is probably one of the most important tips I'm going to give in this video, besides 6, 7, 8, 9, of course, and number. If you're in a small space like I am, this is only 10 by 8, right? The thing that helped me hugely is trying to keep it tidy. I know what you're thinking.
That's just common sense, Vic. We all know that.
As much as we all know it, our studio spaces get absolutely trashed. You make one video, I know it happens to me every single video. So keeping your space really tidy is super important, because clean space, less clutter in your brain, and when you're reaching out for stuff, you're not bumping off of absolutely everything, which is really distracting to what you should be doing, and that's concentrating on making the video, editing the video, scoring the video, figuring out your ideas. That is so important. What really worked for me here is anything that I could get onto the walls or the ceiling, more on that in a sec. But there's another thing with light stands and mics and all that kind of jazz. And this, my friends, is probably the one thing that has stopped you making video after video after video. That was way too close. The back, Vic, get back. Every time you have to drag out a light stand, if you have lights, and you really should, but more on lights in a sec, you've just got to drag out some kind of gear to make a video. Your floor gets cluttered, then you go for lunch, you go for dinner, you leave it for a couple of days, and you come back after you shot your video, and then it's like, oh, look at this, I have to move stuff around. When you get stuff on the ceiling, it's more or less in a permanent position. And if you get your lights on the ceiling, if you have them, which we said you should, because they're up there, they're positioned, you've got an angle worked out that the light's gonna work well on your face, and that is a huge thing to get right. Lights, wall mount them. There's tiny little mounting brackets that you can get on Amazon. I've left a link in the description for these, and that's what I've got my lights up here on. It saved me like 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, no putting them out, putting them onto light stands and they're falling over and you can't swing a cat in the room and it's clutter everywhere. Like this light here is my fill light, so that kind of highlights me from the back. It turns on and turns off with a HomeKit remote control socket, so I can just tell my smart assistant on my phone to turn it on, and it turns it on, and that's it. It's up there. It never moves. Maybe now and again I might adjust the angle, but that's it. It's up there. And the same goes for my key light. So the key light essentially is your key light. It's your main light. It's what lights your face. And if you just have one light, a key light. This is a Godox SL60W. It's at a kind of a 45-degree angle. The reason we have it at a 45-degree angle is because it's a little bit more complementary to the face. It gives shadows, it gives depth. But the thing is, it's up here. I just switch it on. Again, a HomeKit remote control socket, boom, it's on, done. Don't have to worry about anything. It's just there, permanently. Permanently. Sometimes it talks to me, right? And here's the next thing that's as equally as important as wall mounting your lights. And that's wall mount your camera if you can. Now, I'm doing something that's not sketchy, it's completely safe and it works, and I'll take you guys through what this was a game changer for me. But wall mount your camera, or get a couple of cheap little kind of tripod mounts that you can screw into the wall, or you can clamp them onto a desk, and then those are there. And you can go, okay, I'm gonna put the camera here, and a couple of ball head quick release ones, like with an Arcus twister, you can twist them on and twist them off and they can go wherever. What about if you're feeling really brave? Well, how about mounting your camera on the ceiling? Yeah, right now I've got a Sony FX3 and a Sony 20mm G lens. It's about $5,000 hanging off of my ceiling. This is on a Manfrotto auto pole with a clamp, boom pole with a small rig ball head on top of it. And that's what my camera is sitting on right now. And this has worked flawlessly, this auto pole thing. It's somewhere that you can more or less hang lights off of cameras, whatever you can clamp on, you can basically stick it onto one of these things. It's a tension arm. So how that works is once you put it across the span of your room, there's a little kind of lever that you push and you pull and it tenses the whole lot. And this has stayed up there for at least a year now, and there's never been an issue. And because this is on a ball head, I can literally move this whatever way I want. So essentially this is in the center of the room. I've got a whole bunch of angles and you can raise and lower the height. So this is a full kind of 360. I know that's weird, but that works really, really well. Now, it depends on the space that you have. Let me tighten that. Depends on the space that you have, but these auto pull things, a couple of $100, they work really, really well. And I'm sure most people will potentially have 2 walls to, you know, pressure this off of, or 10, whatever the words are, just to basically get it up there. If not, look at mounting the camera somewhere, because if you've got a tripod on the floor, especially in a small space, it's going to wreck your head. But if you do have to have a tripod on a floor of any capacity, and I do from time to time, here's the best tip that I can give you for that. And again, all of this comes down to one thing, and that's about making life as easy as possible. And there's a huge reason for this, but before I get to that reason, use a ball head with a quick release plate or an Arca Swiss. That way you don't have to be wrestling with kind of purpose-built plates. You can just twist on and twist off your camera off the tripod, so it's an easy pop it on or pop it off with just like a couple of twists or turns. And the reason all of this is so important, and please, if you take anything from this video, this is the other point that you really have to take from this video. If you are going to have to drag lights or cameras or tripods, the more fiddling that you have to do with anything, the first 1 or 2 times that's exciting. Maybe you're making your first YouTube videos and you're like, I gotta go make a video. Then you gotta drag out the lights, and you gotta drag out the mics, and you gotta drag out the tripods, and you gotta drag out everything. That's a chore, right? So then by the 5th time you do it, you're like, I'm just gonna leave this video go. I'm gonna just go scroll through Netflix, whatever, Disney Plus, Instagram, Vero. Yeah, nah. Maybe a week later you go, I should really make a video. And you're like, nah, I was paying the butt the last time. And then before you know it, months have gone by before you've ever made another video. And then you're like going,
Yeah, maybe this whole YouTube thing just ain't for me. I gave it a go and it's just like, the algorithm hates me.
but it doesn't. And then you're like, you're done. And that's it. All because of dragging light stands or tripods or whatever around the place. You stopped, you gave up because it came a chore. So far, the tips that I've given you guys will make it less of a chore, and the things of less of a chore, they're less hassle to do, then you're more likely to do it again and again and again. And then you are always one video away from changing your life forever, and your family's life, and just going viral and going boom, and you're like, hi Mr. Beast, we're friends now. Now, when it does come to your space, no matter how small it is, depending on the channel that you have, try and have stuff around you that inspires you, that helps you. I guess that's also reflective of what you talk about. So for me, there's some camera gear that's on shelves, including some lenses that I have. There's also some other little gear. The top shelf there is a little bit of a personal shelf, which reflects, for example, The Iron Giant is a movie that I really like, but it was the first movie that myself and my son Cameron, who was very young at the time, we all cried together at the same thing, so it's very special to me. And then the other shelf here, I've got some of my cameras, including some of the very first cameras that I ever had, ever before YouTube was even a thing, right? So that helps me focus what I'm talking about from an audience perspective. It's kind of there. But as I said, this is also my space here, which I like to be creative. So I've got a whole bunch of books that I really like. A lot of photography books. I'm a huge Chris Burkhardt fan. So I've got Chris's books there. I'm a huge barbecue nerd, by the way. Bet you didn't know that. Maybe if you follow me on Instagram, but one of the great barbecue books ever, Texas Barbecue, Small Town to Downtown. So again, a lot of photography stuff that I just take inspiration from. Got some stuff that the kids have given me for Christmas. Got the old best vlog in the country, 2018. Now, the one thing in any YouTube studio space is audio problems. Now I've got a video that's kind of going to show up in the description or the in card here. You can fix your audio issues with artificial intelligence. Kind of found that it really flattens the audio completely. It's great, but it needs a bit more work in post to make it sound alive again. But reflections are your absolute enemy. The only way to combat reflections in any space that you have is these acoustic panels, which you can kind of see here. I've got a whole bunch up on the ceiling. Figured the ceiling was probably one of the places that, you know, there's a lot of reflections coming from. Now, you don't have to buy a whole ton of sound panels. You can get them on Amazon, they are relatively cheap. But the thing that I found is that even if you've got a carpet there or a couple of mats or rugs or you've got a sofa or something, then anything that helps soften the acoustics in the room or softens all those reflections is a good thing. The other thing is just use AI to kind of fix the audio, but the other thing is, like, people watch your videos with their eyes, but they also watch with their ears. So if the audio is really bad, they're just gonna go, ah. I'm not gonna bore everybody else with the rest of the specs. I've got an old Alienware PC that kind of runs all the editing stuff that I do. And then the key here is making the most of the space. And I hate just the one angle. So what I did do, and it was my wife's idea, was this desk. This desk comes out as it's in casters. This is just IKEA legs, IKEA casters, and then I got another angle. And the thing is, with the boom pole hanging down, I've got an overhead shot. Now the downside of this is I gotta put a tripod there, but not the end of the world because this isn't going to be featured in every single video. So you'd be surprised what a little Carlby countertop from IKEA and some casters can do. Genius idea from my wife. Gotta give her the praise for that one. You gotta think about this, right? And here's the most important thing. The person that's watching your vids, right, regardless of the space, yeah, they're like, oh, he's talking with cameras and editing and stuff. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, he's got some cameras and stuff, so maybe he knows what he's on about. That kind of validates it in a way. Do they really care about your backdrop so much that it's just like, yeah. What they do care about is what you've got to say. And that's where the planning side of it comes in. You think about it, and when you have a small space that's clean and that's tidy, don't get me wrong, my laundry pile is taller than Mount Everest right now. But if you just keep your space just for you, and just no matter what size it is and how small it is, like nobody has, you know, the Casey Neistat style studio or the Peter McKinnon or the Marquez Brownlee or the Hollywood studios that Mr. Beast has. Nobody has that really yet, and that's something we can all aspire to have. But some of the tips that I've given you so far are things that make you ultimately, and this is the most important thing, it's not about, oh, hide a cable here, it's all about making life easier for you, the filmmaker, you, the creator, where you have a space that you can walk into, you can write some ideas, you can type them up, you can just chill out for 5 minutes. This could also be your editing space, but most importantly, lights are up. Everything is ready to go. So when you've got that idea, all you gotta do then is press record, and you have got no stress. You're worried about the most important thing.